Good day to you, dear students. Welcome once again to IOTA Virtual Learning, where we bring to you virtual lessons in preparation for your West African Senior School Certificate Examination. I remain your virtual biology tutor, Mr. Kehinde Adeshina, and I trust my lesson has been intriguing and impactful. In the lesson of today, I bring to you a very exciting concept in living things. This concept is called the transport system in animals. Let us look at the lesson outline of today. In the lesson of today, you will be learning the following: the definition of transportation, the need for transportation, the concept of surface area to volume ratio, need for effective transport system in higher organisms, transport in unicellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium, transport in lower organisms like tapeworm, hydra, and insects, then transport system in higher animals. Lastly, in this lesson, we will look at composition, function of blood and the lymph. So, let's dive into this very intriguing concept. Just like in modern cities and towns where there are various roads, pathway, and transport medium for movement of things around, the body of living organisms possesses pathways and mediums for moving various materials around the body. This constitutes the transport system in living things. Transport and transport system in plants and animals refers to the movement of metabolic materials from various parts of the organisms where they are produced or obtained to the parts where they are either used, stored, or removed from the body. Now, why do living organisms need transportation? Transportation is needed in organisms because of the following reasons. Number one, it is necessary so that every individual cells can obtain all necessary materials for its metabolism. Materials such as nutrients, oxygen, and water are needed by all cells of the body. Number two, it is also necessary to remove and dispose metabolic waste, e.g., carbon dioxide, water, and urea, etc., out of the body. Number three, in plants, transport is necessary to move mineral salt and water from the roots to the stem and the leaves. Transport is also required to move hormones in plants and animals from where they are produced to the area where they are needed. Lastly, glucose produced from the leaves and storage organs of plants are regularly transported from where they are produced to other parts of the plant where they are being used. Now, before we go on in describing what transport system in different organisms looks like, there is a concept that we need to understand, and this concept is the concept of surface area to volume ratio. Now, what is surface area to volume ratio? The first surface area to volume ratio is a concept in biology that refers to the relationship between surface area of an object or organism and its volume. While surface area is the total area of the outside layer of an organism, the volume is the amount of space inside that organism. The surface area to volume ratio is calculated by dividing the surface area by the volume of the organism. Now, what is the biological significance of surface area to volume ratio? Number one, it is of significance in exchange of materials. In living organism, a high surface area to volume ratio means that there is a large surface area relative to the volume of the organism. This is important because many biological processes like exchange of oxygen, nutrients, and waste materials occur through the surface. For example, small cells or organisms with a high surface area to volume ratio can effectively exchange materials with their environment. However, large organisms like man and other animals are not able to effectively exchange materials with their surrounding with a simple process. Number 2, surface area to volume ratio is important in heat regulation. Organisms with a high surface area to volume ratio, like small animals, can lose heat quickly, while those with low surface area to volume ratio, like larger animals, retain heat better. Now let's look at what surface area to volume ratio is in lower organisms and in higher organisms. In lower organism or unicellular organisms such as amoeba, paramecium, euglena, and chlamydomonas, the surface area to volume ratio of the body is large. As a result, essential nutrients like food, oxygen, and water, as well as excretory products like water, carbon dioxide, etc., are able to move in and out of the body by simple diffusion. Therefore, diffusion is most effective when the surface area is large while the thickness or volume is small. Now, in the same manner, some simple multicellular animals such as tapeworm are flat and they have thin structure. They have a large surface area to volume ratio and can also obtain food and oxygen that they need, as well as also removing their waste products by simple diffusion alone. Therefore, diffusion alone is adequate means of exchanging of materials in small animals because the surface area to volume ratio is great. Now, larger organisms like man and other animals have a very low surface area to volume ratio. As a result, diffusion alone cannot achieve exchange of materials. There is therefore a need for effective transport system in larger organisms. This is because of the following. 1. In complex multicellular organisms, many cells are situated far from the others. Hence, substance have to move over great distance before it can get to them. Therefore, diffusion alone cannot achieve this transport of materials between cells. Number 2, as explained earlier, the surface area to volume ratio in complex multicellular organism is too small for diffusion alone to achieve transport. Number 3, a conducting or linking system becomes necessary because they need this to connect isolated groups of cells. Number 4, diffusion alone cannot be used for transport of materials to isolated cells. And lastly, materials being transported in larger organisms are large in quantity, and simple diffusion alone and even osmosis and active transport cannot accomplish this transfer of large quantity of materials. Hence, there is need for an effective transport system in higher organisms. Now let's look at the materials that are transported in plants and animals. Materials that are transported in plants and animals are many. We'll discuss this one after the other, starting with materials transported in animals. The following are the materials transported in animals. 1. Oxygen. Oxygen is transported from the lungs to all the living cells of the body for tissue or cellular respiration. Number 2, carbon dioxide. This is an excretory waste product transported from the cells where they are produced, to the lungs where they are being excreted. 3. Urea. Urea is also an excretory product transported from the cells where they are being produced and to the liver where they are being removed. Number 4. Excess salts. Excess salts are produced also from cells and they are excreted by the skin and the kidney. Next material is water. Water is an excretory product produced by the cells and transported to various organs such as the skin, the lungs, the kidney, and the liver where they are being excreted. Number 6 is amino acids. These are products of protein digestion and they are transported from the small intestine to various cells for usage. Number 7, vitamins. Vitamins are also products of digestion transported from small intestine to various cells for use. Number 8 is sugars. Sugars are produced or products of starch and carbohydrate digestion. They are transported from the ileum to various cells of the body for tissue respiration. Next is fatty acid and glycerol. These are products of fat and oil digestion. They are transported from the small intestine to the cells where they are required for body metabolism. Next is mineral salt. Mineral salt are transported from the small intestine where they are being absorbed to the various cells where they are needed for metabolism. Hormones. Hormones are transported from endocrine or ductless glands where they are being secreted to various organs or tissues where they have their effects. Lastly is antibodies. Antibodies are produced by white blood corpuscles and transported by the blood to all parts of the body where they defend the body against diseases and infection. Materials transported in plants. Materials that are transported in plants include the following. 1. Manufactured food. Manufactured food is transported from the leaves where they are being produced during photosynthesis to all the living cells of the body for tissue respiration and also to storage organs for storage. Number 2 is excretory products. Excretory products such as carbon dioxide and water are transported from all the living cells to where they are being excreted. Number 3, water. Water is being absorbed from the soil through the roots and it is being transported to the leaves and other parts of the plant for photosynthesis and other functions. However, there are other materials that are transported in plants and these include oxygen, nitrogenous waste products or latex, amino acids, glucose, lipids, auxin and other hormones, and mineral salts. Now, various living organisms, including unicellular and multicellular organisms, have different media of transportation. Now, we are going to look at these media of transportation one after the other. Number 1 is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the main media of transportation in lower unicellular organisms such as amoeba and paramecium. Materials such as glucose, amino acid, oxygen, water, and carbon dioxide are transported from one part of the cell to another through the cytoplasm. This takes place through a process called cytoplasmic streaming. Number 2 is cell sap or latex. Cell sap or latex is used as the medium of transportation of materials in plants. Cell sap is a concentrated solution found in the vacuoles of cells which serve as a stronger solution. As a result of this, the cell sap is able to transport water and dissolve mineral salt from the soil through the root hairs to the upper parts of the plant. Number 3 is the blood. The blood is a powerful medium of transportation of materials in most animals, especially vertebrates. The blood is a fluid and it is a tissue which is in fluid form. It is able to move large materials over the entire body through blood vessels like arteries, veins, and capillaries from where they are being produced or obtained to the point of destination. Lastly is the lymph. The lymph is also one of the media of transportation in higher animals. It is a fluid similar in composition to the tissue fluid, although it contains extra lymphocytes. There is no red blood cell present in the lymph. It returns fluid to the main vein through the opening in the subclavian or left jugular vein below the neck. Examples of lymph vessels in the lacteal, which transport fatty acid and glycerol. Now let's look at mechanism of transportation in some organisms. In unicellular organisms, the continuous streaming movement of the cytoplasm circulates materials within one cell body animals like amoeba. For example, in amoeba, which changes its shape, it moves the cytoplasmic streams from the rear to the front of the organisms along with the direction of its movement. In paramecium, which is another unicellular organism which do not change its shape, the continuous circular movement of the cytoplasm brings about the distribution of materials such as food, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and others within its body. Mechanism of transportation in simple multicellular organism like Hydra. Hydra is a two-layered body organism enclosed in a huge gut cavity. The movement of the gut wall draws water into the gut and causes digested food and oxygen within it to circulate. This enables the cell lining of the gut to absorb the materials. Some materials in the gut have flagellae. The whippling movements of these flagella also help to circulate the materials in the gut. Now let's look at mechanism of transport in flatworm. Flatworm, like tapeworm, has a thin and flat body so that the surface area to volume ratio is large. In addition, the gut branches extensively throughout the body. These features enable sufficient food and oxygen to diffuse into the cell body. There is a branch excretory system in the body that collects and gets rid of waste products from the body. As in Hydra, movement of the body wall aid the transportation of waste products out of its body. Let's look at transport mechanism in insects and the mollusk. Insects and mollusks have open circulatory system which help them to transport materials within the body. In the system, the heart pumps blood into a blood vessels which branches and open into open space or open cavity called hemocoel. The organism and the tissues are bathed in blood. An exchange of materials occur between the body cells and the blood. Blood in the space eventually flow into vessels leading to the heart, and valves in the heart and the blood vessels only allow the blood to flow in one direction. In this system, the distribution of blood to the various body parts is poorly controlled. Transport system in man. A complex transport system in man provides an effective way of distributing materials within the body. This is made possible by blood and lymph, which represent the media of transportation in man. We will look at the composition of the blood and the lymph, including their function. Composition of the blood. The blood is a tissue in fluid form, and an adult man have about 5 to 6 liters of blood. Blood is made up of two major components, which include the blood cells or corpuscles, which are solid, and 2, the plasma fluid. Let's look at this one after the other. The blood cells or corpuscles. There are 3 types of blood cells or corpuscles, which include red blood cell or erythrocytes, white blood cells or leukocytes, and the blood platelets, also called thrombocytes. The red blood cell or erythrocyte. The red blood cells, also called erythrocytes, are small, round, and biconcave or disc-like in shape. They have no nucleus, and 1 cubic liter of blood have about 5.2 million of red blood cells. The normal lifespan of red blood cell is about 120 days, that is 4 months, before they are being destroyed by the liver. The red blood cells are mainly produced by the bone marrows, and the red color of the cell is due to the presence of an iron compound called hemoglobin. The function of red blood cell. The pigment hemoglobin in the red blood cell helps it to transport oxygen from the lungs to the cell body. When hemoglobin combines with oxygen, it forms another compound called oxyhemoglobin in the lungs. Now let's look at white blood cell. The white blood cells, which are also called leukocytes, are irregular and amoeboid in shape. They are large, colorless, and contain nucleus. They are larger than red blood cell in diameter, but they are fewer in number to the red blood cell. There are about 5,000 to 10,000 of white blood cell in 1 cubic milliliters of blood. They are made in the red bone marrows and the lymph, including the spleen. White blood cells can live for many months before they are destroyed. There are 2 types of white blood cells. These include the phagocytes. The phagocytes are found in the lymphatic system, where they ingest bacteria, viruses, and dead cells and help in preventing diseases. The injection of materials by phagocytes is called phagocytosis, and hence such white blood corpuscles are called phagocytes. The second type of white blood cell are the lymphocytes. The lymphocytes produce antibodies, and they are made in the lymph nodes. They produce chemicals called antibodies, which stick to the surface of germs and kill them. Function of white blood cells. The white blood cells help to defend and fight against diseases by either ingesting them or producing antibodies that kill disease-causing organisms. The blood platelets. The blood platelets, also called thrombocytes, are tiny irregular cell fragments without nucleus. They are produced in the red bone marrows. Platelets are fewer in number and also smaller in size than the red blood cells. About 250,000 to 400,000 platelets are present per millimeter cube of human blood. The function of platelets. Platelet aids in the blood clotting and also in healing of wound. The other part of the blood, which is the liquid portion, is the blood plasma. The plasma is the liquid component of the blood. It is a pale yellow liquid made up of mainly water, about 90%. Many substances are dissolved in the blood plasma, including plasma protein, antibodies, hormones, enzymes, gases, digested food, salts, and other waste products. The function of the blood plasma. The blood plasma helps to transport materials which are dissolved in it around the body, as well as cells that float in it. Now let's look at the lymph. The lymph is a colorless liquid associated with the lymphatic system. It is a fluid similar in composition to the tissue fluid, but it contains extra lymphocytes. The lymph has no red cells, and it returns fluid to the main vein through the opening of the subclavian vein, that is the left jugular vein below the neck. Movement of the lymph is enhanced by the action of muscles. The lymph nodes are where lymph passes through to make pure before entering into the bloodstream. What is the function of the lymph? The lymph performs two functions. One, body defense. The lymph aids body defense. The lymph node produces white blood cells. This helps to kill disease-causing microorganisms, foreign particles that are found in the lymph, and filter it out in the lymph nodes, and also engulfed by phagocytes. Number two, absorption of fatty acid and glycerol. The lymphatic system, such as the lateral, is associated with the absorption of fatty acid and glycerol. Let us find out how much we have learned in this lesson by answering related questions from our past WAEC. The first question we'll look at is question 12 and question 13 from 2002. Question 12. Diffusion is most effective in living organisms when the surface area is A, large and the thickness is also large. B, small while the thickness is large. C, large while the thickness is small. D, the same as its thickness. Look at the pairing of these terms and pick your answer. The correct option is option C, when the surface area is large while the thickness is small. A large surface area coupled with a thin wall help to achieve simple diffusion. Question 13. The function of the red blood cell is to A, engulf invading bacteria. B, aid in protein formation. C, transport oxygen to the cells. And D, control blood glucose level. Pick your answer from the options. The correct option is option C, transport oxygen to the cells. The red blood cell contain hemoglobin, which are actively binding to oxygen, helping to transport this oxygen from the lungs to the various cells of the body. The next question is question 14 from 2003. Which of the following constitutes the cellular composition of mammalian blood? Roman figure 1. hemoglobin. Roman figure 2, erythrocyte. Roman figure 3, leukocyte. Roman figure 4, platelets. Now the options. A, Roman figure 1, 2, and 3 only. B, Roman figure 1, 3, and 4 only. C, Roman figure 2, 3, and 4 only. And D, Roman figure 1, 2, 3, and 4. Look at all the options and pick your answer. The correct option again is option C. Roman figure 2, 3, and 4 only. That is erythrocyte, leukocyte, and platelets. Now, hemoglobin is not a cellular component. This is why any option here that include Roman figure 1 is wrong. The next question is question 13 from 2007, and it says, which of these statements about white blood cell is true? A, it aids clotting of blood. B, carries oxygen around the body. C, are the most numerous cells in the blood. D, are large nucleated cells. What do you think is the answer? The correct option is option D. They are large nucleated cells. White blood cells are large and they have nucleus. So D is the answer. It is the platelets that aid in blood clotting, and it is red blood cell that carries oxygen around the body. Also, it is the red blood cell that are the numerals in the blood. The next question is question 13 from 2011, and it says, which of the following statements best describe hemoglobin? A, it is yellowish in color. B, it is a red blood cell. C, an oxygen carrying pigment. And D, it is needed for blood clotting. What do you think is the answer? The correct option is option C. It is an oxygen carrying pigment. Option A is wrong because the hemoglobin is red in color, and option B is wrong because it is not a cell. Option D is wrong because hemoglobin is not needed for blood clotting. It is the blood platelets. That will be all for the lesson of today. Do well to go back to the lesson and watch the lesson over and over again, and sort out for more questions related to this topic in your past WAEC so as to answer them and get yourself more prepared for the exam. Till I come your way again, keep reading, keep learning. Bye.